Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Ria Tanwatco Trillo. Today on the program, Justice Secretary Boying Remulla says acting BuCor Chief Gregorio Catapang is set to permanently replace Gerald Bantag. The suspended BuCor chief also faces more complaints from BuCor personnel and inmates. And we get an update on the long-term reforms to be implemented in the new Bilibid Prison. Acting Bureau of Corrections Chief Gregorio Catapang joins us in the program. Suspended Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag still refuses to hand over his counter-affidavit answering the allegations against him. This is in connection with the murders of radio broadcaster Percy Lapid and Bilibid inmate June Villamor. Instead, Bantag filed a motion for reconsideration seeking to reverse an earlier ruling of prosecutors denying his inhibition bid. Bantag wants to move his case out of the DOJ and let the Office of the Ombudsman handle the investigation. His lawyer, Rocky Balisong, denies delaying the proceedings.
No, of course it's not, because this is part of the process. No, anybody who feels that the decision has to be reconsidered has the right to file the same within a period of 10 days.
But for the brother of Lapid, Roy Mabasa, there's nothing new in Bantag's motion, saying it just reiterates the suspended BuCor chief's argument in his previous petitions. Should Villamor's sister file a comment on Bantag's motion, Senior Assistant State Prosecutor Charlie Guhit explained another hearing will be scheduled on January 31st. Major reforms may be coming to the Corrections Bureau at, quote, full speed ahead, as the acting chief is poised to officially succeed embattled predecessor Director General Gerald Bantag. The officer in charge, who is also a former military chief, was tasked to lead the Prisons Bureau after Bantag was suspended in October. So let's go straight to the source of the story, acting BuCor Chief Gregorio Catapang. Sir, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning too. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, let's start with this, sir. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla says that you will be appointed very soon as the permanent BuCor chief. Do you have any updates or any kind of timeline on this?
Unfortunately, I don't have any timeline for this, but in the case of reforming BuCor, I have a timeline.
All right, sir. But once you do officially take your oath as BuCor chief, whenever that might be, does your responsibility change any way? And how is your officially being the BuCor head, how will that help the things that you want to reform in your reform program?
Yeah, right now I'm in acting capacity. I can do whatever I can as regards the reforms that I need to implement here. But if I become the permanent Director General, that gives me more flexibility and more time to concentrate in as much as I know that I'm now the permanent Director General.
So sir, ano po yung mga limitations kapag acting BuCor OIC pa lang?
Wala namang limitation, but your tenure is not yet secured. You are just acting, but you can do whatever you want in an acting capacity.
Right.
But if I become a permanent, that will give me more, let's say, confidence that I'm indeed the Director General.
Yes. Now, sir, binanggit nyo kanina that you have a timeline for reforming BuCor. Are there any plans of a major reshuffle or reorganization within BuCor?
Yeah, all of these things will happen. Of course, we will have the organizational reform because, you know, the BuCor is somewhat you don't know if it's a civilian entity or it's a uniform entity, in as much as even the uniformed personnel are covered by the civil service law. So that's why I cannot just fire them like in the military. I can issue a summary dismissal or court-martial procedure if I see employees or uniform personnel not doing their job. Those are the limitations that I have. So I have to undergo a reorganization and in coordination, of course, with the Civil Service Commission.
Right, para mas klaro talaga, no, sir?
Opo.
So I want to spend some time talking about your predecessor, former BuCor Chief Gerald Bantag. So many controversies hounding the former BuCor Chief. You recently filed complaints regarding violation of the Anti-Torture Act, serious physical injuries against and administrative charges against Bantag. That was on January 13. Aside from that, there were 5 personnel from Palawan who also filed complaints against Bantag. With all of this, do you feel that you have enough evidence against him?
The next case we want to file is the plunder case, involving about almost 1 billion pesos for the construction of facilities in Palawan, Davao, and Leyte, and also in the Women's Correctional in Mandaluyong.
So when will you file this case po?
Yeah. Today we'll be having a meeting with the AMLAC, and we will ask them how to go about this, because we already have the evidence that indeed about 300 million was released, even if the project is not yet finished. 300 million, more than 300 million, because the project is only 60% finished, but the people of Bantag declared that this is already 95% finished. So more or less 300 million was already released. But these projects were not finished. So we want to look after where the 300 million pesos went, in as much as the project was not finished.
All right, sir. So sinabi niyo po that you will be filing the plunder case today. Is that correct?
We will be talking with AMLAC, and we will write them, request them if to look into the funds, bank accounts of Bantag and his family.
All right.
In as much as this can be hidden there in their bank accounts.
So when will the actual filing take place po?
Hopefully this Friday or early next week, because you know you have to document this properly, so that you have sufficient evidence to file a case against him.
Right. So you mentioned, sir, respondents to the case would be Bantag and members of his family. Who specifically, and is there anyone else aside from them?
Well, anybody who is his distant relative, or anybody that the AMLAC will say that there's indeed a deposit in this amount in his account or in his relative's account.
Okay, so you're still looking into that, sir, no? Going back to the other cases of abuse and torture, apart from the Iwahig prison personnel and the 2 Bilibid gang lords, are there more inmates or BuCor personnel who are surfacing and making similar claims against him?
Yes, indeed, there are, but I'm not at the privilege to tell them, in as much as this is an ongoing investigation.
Mga how many po sila, sir?
Mga isa o dalawa pa
Okay, one.
would like to speak out.
And do they also have evidence to present?
Yeah. These are PDLs who witnessed the killing of a co-PDL. And they want to testify against Bantag.
So sir, masasabi ba po natin that there is a pattern of abuse or abuse of power here during the time of Director General Bantag?
Yeah, what happened here was during his time, he got all the BJMP seconded, about 20 or 29 of them. And they were the ones who occupied the key position in the directorial staff and in the prison penal colonies. And this cabal became a syndicate, and ultimately they created the fifth dam inside the Bilibid Prison. That's why there's a lot of problems. That's why the mission of BuCor failed. Because you can just imagine the inmates were dying, and they even forgot to bury them. I had to bury about 140 dead PDL who were staying at the morgue for almost months and months. And then it's only now that these personnel who were tortured, maltreated by Bantag are talking, because during those times he ruled in a strong arm that nobody wanted to testify against him.
Right, and he put his people in place to do all of that and to protect him. So, sir, what else have you uncovered? And for you, what was the most striking testimony you've heard so far?
Of course, the testimony of the PDL, the two PDLs who were tortured inside his office, and also the testimony of the BuCor employees or the custodial officers who were tortured again or harmed, maltreated inside his office.
Sir, where are these witnesses now, and what is being done to protect them?
Now they are back in their cell. We are looking after their safety, and also the personnel who were maltreated by Bantag are back in their job, and they don't have any threat anymore.
All right, so we still have lots to talk about, so do stay with us. We will be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo, and our source today is Acting BuCor Chief Gregorio Catapang. Sir, welcome back to the program. On to another topic now, this excavation that was discovered in Bilibid. Can we get an update on that? What is being done now about that?
We will also file a case against DG Bantag about this illegal quarrying. And the DNR already confirmed that it is indeed illegal quarrying that was done beside the Director General's quarters. And after that, we will now recover the area, put back those who were the tunnel, and fill up the soil that was removed in the area.
Okay, so you will be covering up this excavation, refilling it. Sir, have you been able to establish what this was really for? I think former BuCor Chief Bantag said it was for a swimming pool. Other theories said that there was treasure hunting going on. And another theory was that because of that tunnel, this might have been used as a means for escape. Do you know what it was really for?
I think it's more of a gold hunting and digging for treasure.
Right. And is this because, there's this urban legend that, some Japanese hid gold there? Is that what's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah. Because when I was the aide-de-camp of General Biason, we used to live beside in Camp Allen, a superintendent's quarter, they call it. And sometime somebody came to me and he told me that the Yamasita treasure is hidden underneath the superintendent's quarters. And he asked me if we can dig underneath. So I told him that will be too foolish because the building will collapse. This is what happened here in BuCor quarters.
All right, sir. Sinabi niyo that you are going to cover up, literally cover and fill this hole, this excavation. How much is needed to fix this large excavation?
Unfortunately, half of the soil were taken away. So maybe we'll just do an engineering work in coordination with DNR. We will ask them to help us how to patch up or return some of the soil and just but make sure that there will be no erosion in the area.
Right. So, sir, magkano po yung budget nyo para dito?
Wala pa po kami budget. Maybe we have the equipment. We will put up the budget for the oil and the diesel that we will have to spend.
All right, sir, something else we want to talk about, the 300,000 wallet scheme. You recently discovered this money-making scheme by prison guards using the mobile wallet GCash, and you seized about 300,000 pesos from one of the guards' lockers. Tell us about this operation. How does it work? How long has it been going on?
Right now, this problem is cropping up because the PDL are having a hard time coping up with the food allowance and the medicine allowance they're given. Just imagine, their food allowance is only 70 pesos per day.
Wow.
And their medicine allowance is only 15 pesos a day. So they really cannot cope up with that kind of arrangement. So they can have money for a day about 2,000. They are allowed 2,000 because, some of the people there are so old that they have to buy diaper, they have to buy medicines, they have to have their catarata, even they have to have dialysis or food, medicine that are so expensive. So we are allowing it, but we are not tolerating excessive amounts of money. That's why now we have a GCash. We allow them to have a GCash, but not exceeding 2,000. And this GCash holders, or the ones who are the ones who taking the money from their relatives and giving it to them, will only be allowed to get 30 pesos in exchange of a 1,000 money transaction. Because prior to that, we move around and ask them how is their condition. And they asked me, sir, can you lower the money deduction? Because right now, if they the relatives send about 1,000, the money exchangers take away 100. So it's really very excessive. So we
you're
will
saying
put
for
a
every
system now that the PDL can get the money amounting to 1,000 for 30 pesos exchange service.
Okay, so magiging 30 pesos na lang yung kung bagang service fee for every 1,000 pesos sent. Sir, who exactly are the individuals who are allowed to participate in this exchange?
Well, anybody can do that, but they have to register with us. So if they do an exchange with the PDL, they have to be registered, or else we will disallow them or even file a case against them if they do that.
All right, sir. Do you know how many have been involved in this scheme so far?
Well, right now we are investigating about 30 personnel whom we saw Because what happened was the PDL were keeping money, but they told the guards that the guards will be the one to keep their money. So when we went to the locker room of the guards, then that is where we saw a lot of money. Because we were asking the guards, how come this money is so big and you're bringing it inside? What are you doing with this? So there's an ongoing investigation about this, and we will file appropriate charges for the guards who are doing illegal activities inside the locker area or inside the BuCor.
Right. And when you discovered this, sir, what immediate actions did you take?
We already put on preventive suspension the 30 guards. They will be investigated and appropriate charges will be filed against them.
All right, sir. I see. Okay. Now, obviously, in your capacity as acting BuCor Chief, you've been going around Bilibid Prison, as you've said. So, ano pa ho ang nakita niyong problema na kailangan i-solve?
I think the greatest problem now is really to decongest them. That's why within this year, I intend to decongest the new Bilibid Prison by removing or transferring about 7,500 inmates to Iwahi, to Davao, and to Leyte. So there will be a movement of inmates. I will, hopefully I'll be able to close down the minimum security compound and the medium security compound. And then hopefully transfer these inmates to other places so that about 8,000
what will happen to the minimum
of the inmates.
What will happen to the minimum and medium security compound, sir?
The minimum security compound will be hopefully transferred to Fort Magsaysay, and then the medium security compound will be transferred in areas in Davao, Palawan, and Leyte. But because we were given a guidance by the Secretary to put up the compound, any compound that we will put up, it will only in a 10-hectare lot about 2,500 people. That's the roadmap we will be doing. Because right now, Ria, the maximum security compound is already 28,000.
28,000 inmates.
What we will do in the future is we will be having compounds like that, but the PDL, the maximum number of PDL, will only be 2,500. So there will be no congestion. And having said that, we will be needing 16 regional prison areas in all over the country, and we will remove the new Bilibid Prison, which is in NCR. There will be no more NCR, no more new Bilibid Prison. That area, the BuCor area that we are now occupying in Muntinlupa, will be put up as a government center for use of the government, national government.
Right. So, sir, what is your timeline for this, for at least moving the 7,500 inmates that you spoke about?
My timeline is this year. I'll finish it this year. But removing everyone here in New Bilibid Prison will be a 5-year timeline. It will start now and it will end up 2028, just in time when the President Marcos will step down as our president.
All right, sir, we need to take a short break. Stay with us. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat-Cotrillo. Our source today, acting BuCor Chief Gregorio Catapang. Sir, earlier you mentioned that by 2028, there will be no new Bilibid Prison, and that inmates will be spread out in different parts of the Philippines, starting off with the 7,500 that you want to move to Iwahi, Davao, and other locations. Have you actually started moving them already? And what are the profiles of these PDLs?
We have started planning. Our plan is to travel them up to Sangli Point, where we will be asking the Philippine Navy to transport them initially to Davao at 2,500. That will happen by end of March. And then another 2,500 maybe by April to Palawan. And then before the start of the rainy season, another 2,500 in Leyte. So that will happen this year. But will be a logistical nightmare because you just can imagine how many buses I have to use to transport them from Muntinlupa going to Cavite area where the boat or the landing ship will be made available, and then they'll travel to Davao. Maybe 2 or 3 days, and then when they arrive there, they'll be shuttled going to the penal colony in Davao. So this will be really a hard movement, a difficult movement.
Yes.
Because these are prisoners or inmates that we have to make sure that they don't escape along the way.
Yes, sir. It is a huge logistical operation. And we do wish you the very best of luck with that, sir. Thank you for being on The Source.
Thank you, too, for inviting me.
That was Acting BuCor Chief Gregorio Catapang. CNN Philippines is reaching out to the camp of Gerald Bantag to get his side on the complaints against him. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. You're watching CNN Philippines.